Yeah, it's cool. It's funny what kind of people are attracted to. I'm just trying to keep the main thing. The main thing is that's basketball, trying to win games, sticking up for my teammates. And that's all part of it. I think all that stuff it's fun and whatnot, but at the end of the day, we need to win some basketball games.
If there's one thing the WNBA made perfectly clear this week, it's that you don't mess with Sophie Cunningham. And if you dare to mess with Caitlin Clark, you better be ready to answer to Sophie, because that's exactly what happened during their last game. It wasn't just a basketball game, it was a showdown, and Sophie came out swinging like a one-woman wrecking crew in defense of Caitlin Clark. And what did the fans do in return? They sold out her jersey.
Finally, there's an enforcer on the court. People were calling her a hero, and her jersey completely sold out overnight. And this was something that I predicted. I actually put up a TikTok right after the game, and I said Sophie Cunningham's jersey is going to sell out. When I woke up the next day, I checked the website, and it was indeed sold out in every single size. And there was also this tweet from Front Office Sports. The Pacers and Fever are dealing with such high demand for their merch that their team store is temporarily limiting.
That's right. In a league that's still fighting for national attention, one player's act of loyalty and grit triggered a wave of support that broke records. Sophie Cunningham's jersey is now officially sold out nationwide, and it's all thanks to her stepping up and defending Caitlin Clark like it was her sworn mission.
And this jersey is now sold out. And it makes you think, okay, earlier in the year I said, we may be headed down the road of Sophie Cunningham having I thought, the second most bought jersey in the league. And last night, probably going to go a long way towards proving me.
But let's rewind and see what exactly happened. The drama unfolded in a fiery match between the Indiana Fever and the Connecticut Sun, where all eyes were on Caitlin Clark, who had just returned from a minor injury and was pulling in some of the highest viewership numbers in WNBA history. With millions watching, what fans expected was a masterclass in basketball. What they got instead was a masterclass in dirty play from Caitlin's opponents.
So as you guys can see here, JC Sheldon is guarding Caitlin Clark. She swipes her in the eyeball. Caitlin Clark nudges her off because JC stays in her face. And then Tina Charles runs over and is kind of wagging her finger in Caitlin Clark's face. And then Marina Mabrey comes out of nowhere and chucks her to the...
JC Sheldon and Marina Mabrey decided that if they couldn't beat Clark with skill, they'd try brute force instead. Sheldon went in with an aggressive closeout, landing her fingers squarely in Clark's eye. Replay footage showed no accident, just an unnecessary, reckless move. Then came Mabrey, who in the second half took things to a whole new level by full-on body-checking Clark. Well, after the whistle, it wasn't a block. It was a cheap shot that would have made an NFL linebacker proud.
8 points, Caitlin Clark, 20 points, 6 assists, 4 turnovers, and she was getting harassed all game. She was getting scratched, clawed, grabbed, held all game today. JC Sheldon was on her like white on...
Clark stumbled back, clearly hurt, and the refs, they just let it slide. And while the refs continued playing the 3 blind mice routine, Sophie Cunningham saw red. This was the moment Sophie flipped the switch. The moment she went from 3-point specialist to full-on enforcer, channeling every ounce of rage and loyalty into one of the most unapologetic on-court responses we've seen in WNBA history.
Watch the steal. Watch it.
Going coast to coast.
What's up there?
And here's we got another breakers here as JC Sheldon goes right after
blonde hair and the high
Sophie
heels fool you.
It was a hard foul, no
She got
question.
her in the headlock.
Sophie wasn't having it. She stepped into the chaos like a protective older sister at recess. No words, no warnings, just immediate action. She bear hugged, she body checked. She made it painfully clear to Mabrey and Sheldon that if they wanted smoke, they'd just light a bonfire. And here's the thing, it wasn't just retaliation, it was a message. Sophie said what the fans had been screaming for weeks. If the refs won't protect Clark, I will. And just like that, she rewrote the playbook.
My personal opinion, maybe I'm biased here, but I'm gonna give you guys my straight up honest opinion on this. She bear hugged her, took her to the ground. Yes, it was intentional. It was absolutely intentional. It was, to me, payback for what was happening the entire game. But she did it in a way that she wasn't going to injure JC. She was just making it known, like, if the refs aren't going to handle it, I will handle it. We'll take care of it, but this is not what you're going to do when you come into our house. It wasn't an
Fans have always respected Sophie Cunningham's game. She's gritty, aggressive, and shoots with laser precision. But in that moment, she wasn't just playing basketball, she was taking a stand. And that, more than anything, turned her into an instant folk hero.
Watch out, girl. Oh, you want to fight? Get over here. Let me teach you something. I think she got in the ear. I think she grabbed him by the hair and was like.
The crowd erupted, social media exploded, memes, edits, tribute posts. Sophie became a viral icon in under an hour. The clip of her stepping to Mabry and Sheldon hit millions of views on TikTok alone. People didn't just love what she did, they felt it.
Hear it in the video right here. The Indiana Fever fans were chanting, Sophie, Sophie.
Because this wasn't just about defending a teammate, it was about calling out the hypocrisy that's been brewing in the league all season long. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room, jealousy, because there's no sugarcoating it. Caitlin Clark came into the league and immediately became the WNBA's biggest star. She brought fans, viewers, sponsors, and attention. All things the league has struggled to build for decades, but not everyone liked that.
We know what she brings to the table. But people wanted to hate because why? You had a bunch of players in this league that watched this young white girl come along and take the league by storm. And they resented it because they saw the marketing prowess that she had.
From the minute she stepped on the court, veterans and even rookies were lining up to take her down. Not with game, but with elbows, hard fouls, and post-game shade. Instead of competing with her, they tried to diminish her. And through it all, Clark never complained. She kept her head down, made her shots, and led her team. But everyone has a breaking point, and thankfully for her, Sophie Cunningham broke first. Sophie saw the pattern, she saw the double standards, and she refused to let Clark be the punching bag any longer. Sophie Cunningham understood the fact that if the league itself wasn't going to step in and do justice to Caitlin Clark, she would do it herself. She showed what loyalty looks like, what leadership looks like, and in a moment where the league failed once again, Cunningham became the moral center of the Fever locker room.
Sophie Cunningham had enough, folks. Shout out to Sophie Cunningham. We wanted somebody like this that said, I'm tired of this. I'm trying to step up. It's time to step up. We're not going to get punked anymore. We're not going to get pushed around anymore. We're not going to get treated like a little sister anymore, like a little brother anymore.
And how did fans respond? Within hours of the Fever game ending, Sophie Cunningham's jersey became the top-selling item on the WNBA's online store. By the next morning, it was sold out in every size. It wasn't just Indiana fans, it was people across the country, from casual viewers to die-hard supporters, all rallying behind a player who stood up for something bigger than basketball.
Sophie Cunningham. JC Sheldon going up for a layup, puts her head down like a running back, exploding through the hole. Sophie Cunningham wraps her up, tosses her little ass to the ground, says, "What's good?" And then Lindsay Allen goes after her along with JC Sheldon and Sophie Cunningham. Look at Sophie Cunningham taking it 2-on-1.
It's no coincidence. People are tired of watching Caitlin Clark get knocked down with no consequence. They're tired of seeing the league's biggest asset treated like a target. And Sophie's reaction gave them hope. Hope that there's still room in the game for loyalty, honor, and grit.
Be in the All-Star game tonight just from this one play because she was standing on business. It wasn't a dirty play. It was an intentional foul and it was meant to send a message. It turned into a scuffle and I don't think anybody wanted that. But the way that the game went and how egregious the referees were and how they were not protecting players, and they especially weren't protecting the #1 player in this league, the biggest draw in this league, which is Caitlin Clark, and they continue to not do that. She's gonna stand up for her teammate, and that.
Now here's where things get messier. Instead of celebrating Sophie's courage, the WNBA ejected her. That's right, the only player who actually defended someone on the court got tossed like she was the problem. Not Sheldon, not Mabry, Sophie.
There comes a time where you got to stand. Dude, Sophie's grabbing her, putting her in the clinch. JC Sheldon was 2 seconds away from getting dirty boxing in the clinch from Sophie Cunningham.
And that's when the fans hit a boiling point. Comment sections exploded with rage. Sports analysts from ESPN to The Athletic called it a disgrace. Hashtags like #FreeSophie, #ProtectClark, and #EjectTheRealVillains were trending by sunrise. The league tried to save face later with suspensions for Sheldon and Mabry, but the damage was already done. Fans had already seen who stepped up and who stayed silent. And Sophie, she came out as the real winner.
This was not a dirty play. This was making a statement because the referees didn't do their damn job. This would not have happened at the end of the game if the referees did their job during the first play. If the referees did their job, not just the first play, every single play leading up to that. If the referees had control of the game, that is their only job. The referees' first job, their #1 job, is to protect their players.
The best part of all this, Sophie wasn't doing it for the cameras. She wasn't doing it to trend. She was doing it because she believes in team over everything. Because when you see someone messing with your people, you don't ask for a foul, you make a statement. And that's why her jersey sold out.
Again, we won't start it, but we damn sure will finish it. And finally, we have somebody. There is some type of proof with this team that says, all right, you guys want to foul the shit out of Cece all game? Say no more. All right. You guys want to ride Caitlin Clark all game? Say no more. All right. Marina Mabry, you want to hip check Caitlin Clark? Say no more. Sophie Cunningham said, say no.
Because people don't just buy talent, they buy heart. They buy authenticity. And Sophie Cunningham just showed the whole league that being a good teammate still matters, that standing up for what's right isn't outdated. It's iconic. Caitlin Clark hasn't said much about the incident because that's who she is. She lets her game speak, but everyone could see the way she looked at Sophie after the scuffle. That nod, that appreciation, that unspoken thank you between warriors.
Yeah, it's cool. It's funny what kind of people are attracted to. I'm just trying to keep the main thing is that's basketball, trying to win games, sticking up for my teammates. And that's all part of it. I think all that stuff it's fun and whatnot, but at the end of the day, we need to win some basketball games.
Let's be real. Caitlin getting a technical foul for taking an eye swipe and a second chest bump is absolutely wild, even by the WNBA standards. The league says, no space for hate. But when it comes to Caitlin Clark, it is suddenly open season for on-court violence, cheap shots, and eye-poking. Do the officials not see their hypocrisy? Or are they deliberately going blind?
Mind you, the reporters at the time, the announcers here are saying, of course, Marina Mabry is going to get ejected because that was unwarranted. She literally came out of nowhere and chucked Caitlin Clark. There should be a flagrant one, of course, on JC Sheldon because she swiped her and hit her in the eyeball. Whether it is intentional or not, you can still have a flagrant a flagrant foul called on you, whether you are trying to intentionally hurt somebody or not. But this is what they called, you guys. This is what they called. Caitlin Clark, Marina Mabry, Tina Charles were assessed with technical fouls on Tuesday. Caitlin, Marina, and Tina.
Absolutely. At some point, you gotta wonder, what does it take to get ejected in the WNBA? Because we have seen it all. From blatant eye gouges to bone-crushing shoves, Caitlin Clark has been manhandled like no other athlete in the league. And we have yet to see a firm action from the officials against her oppressors.
3 techs and a flagrant 1. That's it. That's it. That is what they called. And it was so funny because on the broadcast, I'm not even sure who the male announcer was, but he was essentially like, what do you actually need to do to get ejected?
While the officials turned a blind eye, someone decided to take matters into her own hands. And that someone was none other than Sophie Cunningham. Cunningham, known for her toughness and unfiltered energy, wasn't having any of it. She saw her teammate getting bullied in real time, and she responded the way real teammates do. She repaid the debt.
Back to rookie year defensive strategies against Caitlin Clark. Guarding her full court, face guarding her, blitzing her on every single screen, double teaming her. Like that was the Connecticut Sun defensive strategy for Caitlin Clark, and JC Sheldon was in her face.
The question now is simple. Will the league learn? The suspensions are a start, but fans want consistency. They want fair officiating. They want protection for stars, They want the league to act like Caitlin Clark matters, not just because of numbers, but because she's a generational player who deserves to be respected. And they want to see more players like Sophie Cunningham get the spotlight they deserve.
Yeah, I think that's just who I am. It's my personality. I'm the glue to it. We kind of have a weird age gap. We have some oldies on the team. We have some young bucks, and I'm kind of the tweener is what they call me. And so it's just trying to make everyone match and make sure we're all just having good vibes, right? The seasons has a bunch of highs and lows, and so just trying to keep a level head on everyone. But I also think that we get to play basketball.
Because for all the dirty fouls, all the jealousy, and all the chaos, Sophie gave fans something to believe in again. She reminded everyone what team sports are supposed to be about, and in doing so, she made her jersey the most wanted item in the league.
This team handled business, and I hope something like this brings them together in terms of willing to stick their neck out for each other. I hope a game like today can be a...
Sophie Cunningham didn't go viral for scoring 30. She didn't trend because of some buzzer beater or viral crossover. She trended because she had the guts to do what no one else would, to stand up, step in, and defend her teammate when it mattered most. And the world noticed. Her jersey sold out. Her name became a rallying cry. And most importantly, she gave Caitlin Clark something to cheer for in a league that desperately needed a win. In a season full of fouls, silence, and missed calls, Sophie delivered the most important assist of all. She showed the WNBA what loyalty looks like. And that's worth every penny.